Good evening. Adam Lynch is off this evening. I'm Wayne Van Dyne. An intensive search for a nursing school student who has been missing for over a week ended this afternoon when her body was discovered in a rural Washington County area. Regional reporter David Hazinski was at the scene. He filed this report.
It started 10 days ago when 17-year-old Debbie Caprioli, a nursing student, didn't show up for the bus that was to take her to school. The search for her had been going on ever since. It died down, then intensified when the girl's wallet and some of her clothing were found yesterday near a local lake. At the height of the search today, about 500 volunteers were taking part, using helicopters, motorcycles, horses, and dogs. The search confirmed the worst fears. The girl had been murdered. Her body was found about noon in Robinson Township in Washington County, about 3 miles from her home. 2 firemen, members of the search party, found her naked body in a heavily wooded area. Is there any preliminary indication how she might have died?
Well, yes, but I'd rather hold it at the time. I'd rather not comment on it at the time.
Do you have any information that might lead you to suspect someone in this case?
Well, we've been given we have leads, and we've been given quite a bit of information by the people in the area, and it's rather numerous, and these are things that we're going to have to run down and sort out, you know.
But right now there's no prime suspect?
No.
A series of crime lab crews spent hours going over every possible clue at the scene that might lead to the identity of the killer. Now that the body has been found, that search will intensify. David Hazinski, Channel 11 Instant News in Washington County.
A preliminary report by the coroner's office in Washington indicates the cause of death was strangulation. It's not yet known if the girl had been molested or how long she had been dead. Officials suspect that spontaneous combustion caused a fire today which completely destroyed the Silva hog farm in Hempfield Township. 10 volunteer companies fought that blaze, which broke out in a barn shortly after noon. It took them over 3 hours to bring the flames under control. Although some of the livestock was saved, the owner, Charles Silva, says his business suffered a total loss, but no injuries were reported. The community of Washington Township is without a police station tonight. An early morning fire gutted the building which housed both the police department and the firemen's club. About 70 volunteers fought the 3-alarm blaze, and there were no injuries reported. Until repairs are made, the police are going to have to take up temporary headquarters at the fire station across the street. Cause of the blaze, still under investigation. Police in Washington County are investigating a mysterious phone call, which was followed by a fire early this morning. James Elliott of Amwell Township says he received an anonymous telephone threat that someone was going to burn down his house. And then he saw smoke coming from his garage minutes later. Elliott put the fire out himself. So far, police have no suspects. Well, it's the worst air crash in aviation history, and it occurred today in the Grand Canary Islands. 2 747 jumbo jets, fully loaded, came together on a foggy airport runway at Santa Cruz, killing over 500 people. We have a late report.
14 people were picked up during a stopover in New York. The Dutch plane was also a charter carrying 235 passengers and a crew of 14. These black and white pictures were supplied by Spanish television. Reports say all of the passengers and crew aboard the KLM jet died. There were some survivors aboard the Pan Am plane, most of them in the front section of the jet, the largest section to survive the impact. The planes were supposed to land in Las Palmas, a nearby island in the chain, but an explosion there caused the airport and both flights were diverted, closed the airport and both flights were diverted to Tenerife. Weather conditions there were poor. There was heavy ground fog. The planes waited on the runway at Tenerife for almost 2 hours and then were ordered to take off again for Las Palmas. According to reports, the Pan Am plane was taxiing to a takeoff point on one runway when it crossed the path of the KLM and another, gunning for takeoff speed. Here in New York, a spokesman.
On the Pan Am plane, 366 had boarded in Los Angeles and 14 in New York. And there had been a crew change in New York as well. The preliminary reports coming out of the Canary Islands say that both the Pan Am and the KLM plane had diverted to Tenerife when Las Palmas had been temporarily closed due to a report of an explosion at the air terminal. Now, the Pan Am flight had been on the ground at Tenerife for about an hour and a half, and it and the KLM plane were preparing to depart when the ground collision occurred.
Have you had any conversations with any of the survivors, sir?
The only person that we have been in contact with has been the co-pilot of the Pan Am flight.
Could you tell us what he has said to you?
I can't at this point, no.
The Pan Am passengers were to meet a cruise ship in Las Palmas to sail the Mediterranean for 2 weeks and then return to the States from Athens. None of the names of the passengers will be released until their next of kin are notified.
Rescuers, of course, are still trying to identify some of those bodies. 2 of the victims were said to be from New York State, 2 from Ohio, but none that we know of from Pennsylvania. 23-year-old Daniel Mastrey of Castle Shannon is hospitalized tonight with injuries received in a head-on collision that occurred in the Overbrook section early this morning. Police say that a truck driven by 26-year-old Benedict Bansner of Connor Road collided with Mastrey's vehicle on Route 88 near the city line. Both men were taken to St. Clair Memorial Hospital. Mastrey is in satisfactory condition with 2 broken legs and possible internal injuries. Bansner was treated for minor injuries and released. Governor Schaap laid out a bundle in support of the Carter campaign last fall. Secretary of State Vance is making a trip to Russia. These stories and the weather when Instant News continues.
There's an art to making fine clothes, and Whirlpool believes an art to washing and drying them. So we designed special fabric settings and temperature controls to be so reliable, so precise that you can wash and dry even this classic washable shirt with total confidence. No one told us to make a laundry pair this good. We did it because at Whirlpool, we truly do believe that quality can be beautiful.
Chrysler Cordoba. Truly an uncommon value among fine automobiles. Compare it to Pontiac Grand Prix, for example. This Cordoba has more room for more passenger comfort, more luggage space. Cordoba even has a wider track. Isn't that interesting? Yet this Cordoba S is priced no more than Grand Prix. Cordoba.
When you want to redecorate, Busy Beaver has more for you than plywood and 2x4s. You see, we're a complete do-it-yourself center. So you'll find everything from rustic paneling and Armstrong ceilings to decorator shelving and GAF floor tile, even custom blended paint to cover everything from a garage door to a formal dining room. Busy Beaver do-it-yourself centers. And you thought we were just another lumberyard.
Hi, I'm Bernie Roth, better known as Mr. Ruggs. We're celebrating our anniversary with the biggest carpet values in our history. Rolls and rolls of factory fresh broadloom, anniversary priced from just $2.99 a square yard. And now for extra savings during our anniversary sale, you get rubber padding and guaranteed installation for just $2 a square yard with your jute back carpet purchase. See our anniversary super values now at all Roth warehouses.
Governor Schaap spent more money last year on President Carter's campaign than any other person in the country, except perhaps Carter himself. The Federal Election Commission says Schaap spent just over $27,000 for newspaper ads supporting Carter and other Democratic candidates. The governor spent his money as an independent contributor and didn't coordinate his spending with the Carter campaign. The government of Hanoi says the United States will have to supply post-war economic aid if it wants Vietnam to cooperate in the search for missing American servicemen. Hanoi officials claim the United States must pay for reparations under terms of the 1975 Paris Agreement. Secretary of State Cyrus Vance says he'll avoid human rights issues when he meets with Soviet leaders tomorrow, but other American officials expect heated discussions on that subject. Vance arrived in Moscow yesterday for talks centering around U.S. disarmament proposals and the upcoming Strategic Arms Limitation Conference. His visit is said to be the first real measure of how Soviet-American relations have been affected by Carter's strong stand on human rights. However, Kremlin leaders say that they're eager to reach a SALT agreement during Vance's trip. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Jody Powell says there is no moratorium on U.S. arms sales around the world. Powell said that the president is concerned about arms proliferation and is personally reviewing major arms sales before they are completed. Ken Phillips, it was beautiful today, but can it last?
Well, yes and no. It will last, that it will be warm. In fact, getting warmer for the next couple of days. But we're going to lose our sunshine, most of it, and it just won't look as nice as it has. But warm. How does readings in about the 75-degree range sound to you right now? We have them coming up. Look at this radar picture, and we'll be able to see exactly where the rain is. If you live in the areas that are dark, then you can go outdoors and not get wet. If you're in under these areas, That's where the rain is. You can see it's like a horseshoe all around us with a few little cells down to the south of us. None of it is heavy at the moment, but some heavy rain will be coming through. Outdoors earlier today, you get an idea how things were. Temperature now, we're still warm. We're at 60 degrees now. Relative humidity is 44%. Barometer is falling. Wind is southeast at 7. We've had a trace of rain in the area. Everybody had unsatisfactory air at last report except Logan's Ferry. Showers in 68 a year ago. Finally made some showers today. We had a high of 70. We're running 7 degrees warmer than the seasonal normal. 1950, a reading in the 80s, set the record high, and back in 1894, down in the 15-degree range, set the record low for the state. Look what we have coming up for you. First of all, high pressure sitting right here. Wayne mentioned it was a great day. Well, that's the little gem that did it for us. It gave us a nice weekend, as you will remember. But now we have a mixture. This is partly a cold front. Part way down, it changes over, becomes a warm front, and then it changes back to a cold front and has a tail down here. What does all that mean? Well, this section of it down here is generating some rather nasty storms, good, heavy thunderstorms for parts of Texas, over into Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi. They have the possibility of some flooding from some of the thunderstorm action that's going on down there. Those storms are spreading up in our direction. During the day tomorrow, we may get a couple of thunderstorms around here as well. At the moment, they're spreading in through Illinois and Indiana, but we won't see those until probably later on in the afternoon tomorrow. When this system goes by, we'll have on again, off again showers for a while, and yet another one waiting up here to come in on us and change things for us will bring us cooler temperatures by Wednesday. Cooler will still be about seasonal normals, but for the next couple of days, we'll be quite warm, running in the 70s. This is another one of those late winter storms. Heavy snow falling, temperatures dropping very quickly, and strong winds giving them some problems up there. They've been waiting all winter to get snow in the mountains, and now they're getting it all at one time. Gunnison, Colorado, with a temperature of 12 degrees, was the coldest spot in the country. Brownsville, Texas, 88. That's the highest across the country today. We have a few periods of rain being reported down through most sections of Ohio. I showed you how the rain pattern was on radar, and you can see it's not reported over in the mountain areas, but you go up north and you start getting into the rain pattern once again. Here's the forecast. Warm with a few showers around 48. Showers and thunderstorms. It could be a little bit noisy tomorrow with a high temperature around the 70-degree mark. Cloudy tomorrow night. A few showers are possible, about 46. The 5-day forecast, warm and wet tomorrow, showers and thunderstorms near 70. Tuesday, partly cloudy, a couple of showers are possible. We'll be in the low 70s at that time. Wednesday, some morning sunshine, partial clearing, morning showers, and then some partial clearing setting in the afternoon. We'll be in the mid-60s. Thursday, sunny and cooler in the upper 50s at that time, then dropping down on Friday near 50 degrees, upper 40s, sunny. By Friday night, the clouds will start to build up. After all, it is spring, and we'll be talking about showers once more.
All that weather news and not one cliche, which sets you apart from most TV weathermen. No talk about lions or lambs or anything. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We do have a better reminder of the season, however, than the equinox itself. You have a little less than 3 weeks to send in your federal tax return if you haven't done so already. A lot of people depend on professional help to fill out those returns, and they should be particularly interested in this report from Rick Davis.
Income tax preparation is big business. In California alone, taxpayers pay $170 million to have their tax returns prepared. Is it a good investment? The California Department of Consumer Affairs says no. A team of investigators went to commercial firms, small and large, to the banks and savings and loans that offer the tax service, to the nationwide firms. The investigators posed as taxpayers needing help. The director of the Department of Consumer Affairs says what they got for their fees was a long list of faulty returns.
Chances of a correct return are less than 50% from a commercial tax preparer. As a matter of fact, our study found that 3 out of 477 commercial tax preparers surveyed, only 3 got the returns right. 77% of the returns were erroneous in the direction of having the taxpayers pay more money than the law would have required them to pay.
The nation's largest tax preparation firm is H&R Block. 1 out of 10 taxpayers in the country goes to Block for help. The firm says the California survey is an error-filled farce, and that the Department of Consumer Affairs should issue an apology. Stanley Weiner is an attorney for the law firm that represents H&R Block.
The California Department of Consumer Affairs engaged in a study that is contains a number of errors in the methodology utilized, in the model that was employed, and in the sampling techniques utilized under that study.
You can get tax preparation help from the Internal Revenue Service. The California Department of Consumer Affairs says you are better off here. But even here, the word is, taxpayer, beware.
They go on to say the reason taxpayers should beware is that regardless of who fills out your return, you have to sign it, and you are ultimately responsible if something is wrong. Coming up on Instant News, Dee Thompson with a full sports report after this.